Hello, and welcome to Midnight Double Feature with Zoheb and Colin. This is just Zoheb breaking in here before Colin does his thing. Just letting you know that this is a bit of a special one. This is obviously our first episode. It's a bit of a weird one. Not only because it's our first episode, but also because we recorded separately. We're not together. I mean, you know, we're together. It's a bromance. Yeah, this is us doing our things just separately, and I just kind of chucked it together, and I'm just going to throw it out there and see what people think. Obviously, not. This is only going to be a first occurrence thing. This is only going to be a one-time thing. It's not going to happen again. Hopefully, normally we'll be talking about shit, and Colin's going to introduce this probably better. But yeah, it's a weird one. But anyway, also just wanted to say that our podcast is going to be E for explicit. We'll be carrying on like children, but for all intents and purposes, this is going to be an adult conversation, so there'll be no filters. Hashtag no fucking filters. Anyway, enough from the Australian. I'll see you maybe towards the end of the podcast. I'm going to turn it over to my boy Colin. Thanks, guys. Enjoy.
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. This is the first ever episode of Midnight Double Feature, a film podcast hosted by myself and a good friend named Zoheb Ali. Zoheb and I, both big podcast lovers, both big, film lovers, actually both worked in theaters for a while and just decided, why not put the two together and see what happens. So yeah, every couple weeks we're going to be picking a movie that we like, maybe even a movie that we don't like, maybe something that we disagree on, and just kind of picking it apart, maybe explicating our way through it, and seeing what still holds up. Even with older movies or newer movies, there's really no kind of like bias there. And also seeing what went on behind the scenes in the production. I love seeing what went on with movies, what shaped the movies, was the studio too involved, things like that. Just behind the scenes stuff. Really, really love seeing that kind of thing. And this really all just came about. I've actually never met Zoheb before. We've talked quite a few times now. But it's kind of odd, doing this podcast with someone you've never met. But he's a great guy. We both kind of, just reached out to each other, and he's very enthusiastic, and that just stood out to me. And he's got great opinions, and he's not a troller, not one of those people that's just gonna just say something bad just to say something bad. He's got great balanced views, and I think that's really what kind of led me to want to do this podcast with him. So I'm very excited to see how this goes. And we're both very excited to have anybody here who's listening. And if you're not listening, well, you can just go to hell. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're really excited to be doing this. We're really excited for you guys to be a part of this. And we're not just going to be talking about movies here. We're also going to be talking about the news that's going on. A lot of things every single day popping up about who's going to be playing this part, or who's going to be directing this, or who's going to be taking over this franchise, and things like that. Things that we're always seeing on our feeds and social media and stuff like that. But yeah, just a little bit about myself. I'm actually from Tennessee. Grew up just watching movies, loving movies. Really grew up in a small town. We didn't even have a movie theater. We had to go a town over to actually go watch movies, like in a movie theater. But yeah, it's movies have always been a big part of my life. Stories in general. I'd love to read, love to listen to podcasts, TV shows, movies, I'm a sponge for stories. I love good stories. Also a big fan of horror. Big fan of Stephen King. Grew up watching a lot of horror movies. Got 2 older brothers, so anybody with older brothers knows, usually there's probably some stuff that you shouldn't have watched that you definitely watched. And hey, who cares if it kind of fucked you up for life? It was pretty cool as an adult now, right? Mine's always been Stephen King's It. Saw it way too young. The one with Tim Curry, just totally. I still don't like my feet touching drains. Just don't like it. Don't like clowns. Just I don't know. I was probably 4 or 5 when I saw that. But yeah, big fan of horror movies. Big fan of comic books, especially more so of like Batman. I like the DC a little bit more in terms of like comics. Definitely Marvel's kicking their ass with movies, but in terms of comic books, I think DC's got them beat. I think it's pretty good on DC's side. But yeah, horror movies, comic books, big fan of sci-fi. And obviously these are not just the only things that we're going to be covering on here. We're definitely going to be covering crime movies, things that are just dramas, things of that nature. There's really no genre that we're just going to stick to. We're avid movie lovers of any kind. A good story is a good story, and it doesn't matter what kind of genre it falls under. That's always been kind of my motto. So yeah, like I said, we're going to be covering some news here. Just entertainment news, film news, what's going on. Nothing tabloid, nothing no reality shows or anything like that. That's hate that stuff. There's no way. Just talking about the things that we want to talk about, the things you want to talk about, things you want to hear about. Really, and not having to go to websites and figure out if it's fake or somebody. I often find a lot of people making fake trailers online for movies that are never going to be made, or you try to go read something on somebody's website and there's 50,000 ads in the way. I always hate that, and I would love if there was a podcast that I listened to that also gave me kind of some film news at the same time. So yeah, in news right now, the movie that's going to be coming out that I really want to go see is actually called A Quiet Place. It's going to be coming out. I'm not sure of the exact date. I know it's sometime in April, I believe. April 6th, 2018. But yeah, it's going to be, it's actually directed, co-written, and starring John Krasinski, who from The Office played Jim, and his real-life wife, Emily Blunt. Real-life wife. That's kind of hard to say. But yeah, it looks like a great movie. It looks really exciting. Not really a whole lot to go on in the first trailer, other than it seems like post-apocalyptic. Apparently there's some type of animals or monsters that hunt by sound, so they're all communicating through sign language, which I thought was really interesting. And what in God's name, could be hunting these people that would force them to never speak again, not even make sound? In the trailer you see they don't have shoes on, so their shoes won't crunch and make noises, I guess. It looked like such an interesting film. And it was really crazy to hear that John Krasinski also co-wrote and directed this as well. Unbeknownst to me, he's actually directed a few things before and has definitely had a hand in the writing process of some of his projects. But this is definitely a big departure from what he's kind of been attached to, as a comedy person, and his career lately seems to be kind of going that way, getting away from, the more comedic stuff, which I think is great. I think he's a talented actor, and obviously a talented writer and director, and I hope to see more out of him. But yeah, and I hope this movie is great. If it is, maybe we might end up covering it. Who knows? Just got to go see it first, I guess. But I'm definitely very excited to see it. And in other news, Stranger Things. The kids and I think also some of the adults have gotten massive pay raises after the success of the second season. There aren't a whole lot of figures going on. Some people say that David Harbour's making up to $350,000 an episode. Winona Ryder, most likely definitely brings the most star power to that show. But also the kids. Apparently, again, not sure exactly what the figures are, but it was reported that the kids are making up to 12 times more than they were before, which is definitely great. I think those kids, absolutely deserve it. They're the heart and soul of that show, and especially with Finn Wolfhard with his success with it. yeah, there's no denying that those kids are the heart and soul of that show, and if you're going to keep them around, you've definitely got to pay the big bucks to keep those kids on. And more power to 'em. I'm a big Stranger Things fan. I think those kids all do a great job, and without them, that show, I mean, that show would just be nothing. But I'm glad to hear that. 'Cause that was a bit of a sleeper hit, and I'd heard some things before that the kids and the adults, weren't really getting. Well, I mean, obviously getting paid well, but once it exploded, I mean, their contracts just went out the window, and negotiations went through, and I'm just happy to hear that they're all really talented, and I really love that show. But also in some other news, Renee Zellweger is going to be playing Judy Garland, which is pretty nuts. I would have not have thought Renee Zellweger as the first person to play Judy Garland, not even by a long shot. But I'm looking at the first image here, and she looks great. She looks a lot. I mean, they really, really, really did it right. I'm a big fan of biopics. I'm really looking forward to the Freddie Mercury biopic with Rami Malek. Really, really excited to see that. And I'm kind of a stickler for things like that. You got to get the look right. Just like Jamie Foxx and Ray. It's just like you've got to get that look right. You've got to have that sound right. And it just shows when you do it right. It looks fantastic and it sounds fantastic. But I'm not that, and not even that I'm the biggest Judy Garland fan in the world. But I am definitely raised an eyebrow when I heard that they cast Renee Zellweger, and I was like, no way. But if you've got the time, Google it, man. She's crushing it. She looks just like her. I was honestly surprised, by how she looked. It looked great. And in other news, some of my favorite guys in the world, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, are actually starting a production company underneath Sony. It's sorry, their company is called Stolen Image. Tried to combine that with Sony, I guess. But yeah, they started a kind of an indie production company. They've got a TV series supposed to be coming out this year, and a movie called Slaughterhouse Rules, which I'm definitely excited to see. The television show is going to be called Truth Seekers. It's going to be basically like a ghost hunting show, but with a kind of like X-Files Monster of the Week, but with a comedic, obviously Simon Pegg, Nick Frost kind of vibe. Not sure if they're going to be starring in it. Not sure if they're going to be directing in it. Don't care. Love those guys. I love everything those guys do. Spaced, Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, you name it. Edgar Wright, obviously directing those guys. Baby Driver is a great movie. Not sure if Edgar Wright's going to be connected to any of these at all. I really hope he is. I think he's one of the best directors out right now. He's really, really creative, especially with his visuals and his sound together. I'm super excited to see what is going to come of this, especially the film Slaughterhouse Rules, which is apparently also set in a UK public school. It's going to be directed by Crispian Mills and set in a well-to-do public school. So no telling what in the hell that movie's going to be about. Definitely expecting some violence and some bloodshed there, especially coming from those guys. And I can't tell you how much I absolutely adore those three guys. I think that their movies are great. And especially Spaced as a television show. Spaced is good if you've never seen it. Definitely go check it out. I've got the whole entire series here on DVD. But also, going back to Stranger Things, started looking up some things about the season 3 release date. Some people are saying that it could be at the end of 2018, could be at the beginning of 2019. But in an interview with David Harbour says it's actually coming faster than we think. I believe they caught him on the set of his new Hellboy movie, which also looks awesome. We'll definitely be getting into that. But yeah, I'm super excited. I hope that it's not just some kind of fake news. Basically, I hope it's nothing that really turns out not to be true. But at the same time, I hope they take their time. There was a large time gap in between Stranger Things season 1 and 2, and I think it showed off really well. I don't think that the second season is better than the first, but it's really about as good as sequels get in terms of television shows. I thought it was really well done. And if you haven't seen any of the images of David Harbour as Hellboy, definitely go check it out. That's looking at a January 11th, 2019 release date. It's got David Harbour, Mila Jovovich, Daniel Day Kim, Ian McShane. You know, it's got a lot of really good actors and actresses in it. Really good cast. And I'm super excited to see David Harbour's take on Hellboy. You know, we've really only had the one with Ron Perlman, and I've heard there was kind of a bit of no hostility really between David Harbour and Ron Perlman, but Ron Perlman basically had to come out and say, stop asking me about what I think of David Harbour's Hellboy. He's like, I don't, he's going to do great. It's not a big deal. Just drop it. Because there were talks for a long time about there being a final third Hellboy movie to complete their trilogy. And I think they eventually just said no. And Guillermo del Toro even came out and he's like, no, it's not happening. And that's unfortunate because I really do enjoy any of Guillermo del Toro's movies. Haven't seen The Shape of Water yet. Zoheb has. I'm sure he can tell you all about it. That I'm definitely excited to see it. And I really would have liked to seen those guys come back and do some more. But I'm also excited to see what David Harbour can do. That guy's I've never seen him on anything before Stranger Things, but now, just seeing him on that show makes me want to go back, check out his other movies, see what television shows he's been in, and, that whole kit and caboodle. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for me. Just wanted to give you guys a brief intro on myself, maybe talk about what kind of news we've got going on, what Zoheb and I are planning on doing in the future with this podcast and how we're going to be doing it. And also feel free to email us any questions, comments, critiques, anything at midnightdoublefeature@gmail.com. Pretty simple to remember. But if you got any comments, suggestions, critiques, anything, please, let us know. We're more than happy to hear. Just stop by and say, hey, we're always down to just sit there and chat. So, I'm going to turn things over to our man down under, Mr. Zoheb Ali. And, thanks for tuning in, guys.
Hey guys, it's me again. Hopefully you haven't forgotten about me. So it's me. Yes, you don't always get to listen to that fucking Tennessee accent, that smooth as silk accent. Now you're gonna have to listen to a dumb fucking bogan Australian. But hey, that's life. We're doing the podcast together. You're probably lucky with this one because you can just turn it off straight after Colin's done. But that's completely your choice. Look, I'd like to thank Colin. Colin's just the man. The guy, he's humble as shit when he doesn't need to be. I mean, I've never met the guy, but he's all class, and I'm super excited to do a podcast with him. I'm super excited to record with him. I'm super excited to just fucking shoot the shit and just talk about movies, man. I mean, I do it anyway. I do it in my daily life. It's something that I do. It's just fun. It's just fun. I mean, what common uniter other than pizza is there than movies? What better common uniter? I mean, sure, movies can sometimes tear families apart. Marvel versus DC. But I mean, other than that, there's always something to talk about. You can talk about Reservoir Dogs, you can talk about Terminator 2, you can talk about Gladiator, Jurassic Park. I mean, you can always find the good shit in the bad shit and the bad shit in the good shit. And that's pretty much what we're here for, man. Colin hit the nail on the head. He's just a legend with his words. And I feel really shitty for following him because the guy can talk really smoothly, whereas I'm just stuttering and starting. And I want to be a lawyer. I'm studying law, so I have no idea how the fuck I'm going to do in a courtroom. But anyway, here I go. Look, Colin brought up a great piece of info. So this podcast is going to be dealing with news and hopefully talking about a movie, picking a movie and going through it. I love the news. I mean, when I was a kid and the parents had the 6 o'clock news on, I was like, what the fuck is this? Can we just watch Simpsons? fuck, I just want to watch some cartoons, man. I've been at school all day. But, I mean, movie news. Movie news is fun, right? I mean, like, I don't want to hear about terrorism. I mean, you know, it's there, but it's a downer. It's a downer. I mean, let's talk about some good shit, man. I mean, like, let's talk about how fucking Danny Boyle probably is going to direct a Bond movie, a James Bond movie. He probably might be the biggest director ever now to direct a Bond movie. I mean, I can't think of any notable names. Sure, Sam Mendes was a big name, but not that big. I mean, Road to Perdition was good. What the fuck else did he do? Did he do American Beauty? I can't remember. But I mean, Martin Campbell, who did probably the greatest Bond ever. I mean, Casino Royale, goddamn, and GoldenEye, goddamn. But I mean, Danny Boyle's a legend, man. 28 days later, holy shit, man. He pretty much started the zombie trend again after George Romero, right? I mean, the guy can direct. Not to mention, you know, he's been nominated for Oscars plenty of times. I mean, Train Spotting. I mean, 127 Hours. Sunshine. No, okay, not Sunshine. But the guy's awesome, man. I'm super excited to see what he can do, and he's British as shit. To quote one of my favorite podcasters, LSG Media, shout out, because you guys inspired the hell out of us. I'm not too sure if Colin mentioned it. I'm not too sure if I can remember, to be honest, because I listened to his thing this morning. So I don't care. This is brilliant podcasting. Anyway, probably not really in the news now, but Avengers. Holy shit. Marvel released the trailer for Infinity War, and I died for 2 days. Seriously, I couldn't communicate. I was just frothing. I'm not a Marvel fanboy. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck it. Yes, I am. Okay, because seriously, those guys, man, they just know what they're doing. They've built something beautiful, and it just should be appreciated, man. I was telling Colin, I sat there in 2008, when I was, how old was I? 13, 14. Not to give you a clue as to how old I am. 14-year-old just sitting there with this big, fat, stupid grin on his face during the end credit scenes when Nick Fury shows up, just randomly, played by Samuel L. Jackson randomly, and talks to Tony about the Avenger Initiative. And I was like, what is that? I've never heard of that. Because another thing I told Colin, I have never read a comic book other than The Killing Joke, which is a DC book. Seriously, never read a Marvel comic in my life. So I literally went home, looked up what the hell the Avengers was, and was absolutely blown away by. I was like, what? Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, Hulk? They're all gonna be in one movie? What the fuck? So yeah, man, that was a huge thing for me. And now, man, 10 years later, here we are. Thor, Spider-Man, Hulk, Doctor Strange. It's all coming together, man. Like, and it's just like a massive puzzle that they've just curated, absolutely masterfully. Just it's insane, and it's on our doorstep. It's about to be here. So I'm super excited for that one. I saw Tomb Raider. Unfortunately, it's not great. Unfortunately, you know, I thought it might have been. We might have an opportunity here to finally break the video game curse, but looks like that shitty curse is gonna keep going, man. Like it's just we can't make a good movie out of that's based on a video game. It's just it can't happen. I don't know why it's so hard. This Tomb Raider, I mean, it's just so bland. Like seriously, it's just so bland, and it rips off the 2014 Crystal Dynamics reboot so heavily. Like it's just so heavily inspired that it becomes a bit of a drag. Like you're just sitting there and you just want to start playing the game, you know? Not to mention that, you know, a video game character like Lara Croft can't really be translated to screen very well. I mean, this is a girl who takes massive hits and gunshots and stabbings and all this bullshit, but you know what? She can get up and, you know, she can be fine. And look, that doesn't really turn me off about a movie. That really rarely ever affects me. I mean, look at Indiana Jones, man. Like the guy should be dead, but no, he keeps Temple of Dooming, he keeps raiding, he keeps crusading, and he doesn't keep Crystal Skulling because that was his death. But no, Spielberg's gonna bring him back for a fifth. So, hooray! Man, what a time to be alive, eh? Anyway, look, I'm a bit of a film snob. Like, I mean, you've probably already gathered that already. Like, I like to talk about movies, so being being someone who's kind of grown up with movies, I always kind of followed the Oscars. I mean, sure, you can say that the Oscars don't really matter, like they never really recognize like what should be recognized, but I mean, come on, they do matter. Everyone in the film industry wants to earn an Oscar. They're making films not just to make art and not just to make money, but they want to be recognized. To them, it's recognition. They want to be someone in the industry who's got prestige, man. And now people like Jordan Peele, the guy's a legend, man. He started off in Key and Peele, uh, just making us laugh, dude. And he showed up in Fargo with Keegan Michael Key, and it was a weird cameo, but I mean, they were great. And now he directed Get Out, which was unique as fuck. I mean, definitely best screenplay, but it was well deserved, man. It was really well written. I picked it for best screenplay, and I personally I don't think it had a shot at best picture, and I'm glad it didn't win. Um, that being said, The Shape of Water, I couldn't really see anything else winning it while that was there, because that movie, okay, it is hoity-toity. It is, very, oh, look at me, I'm a movie, I'm a film. I'm not a movie, I'm a film. This is a film. It's cinema. It's cinema at its finest. It's cinema. It's ticking all the check boxes. It's just going, 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 and all the criteria has been ticked, and it's all good. That's why it wins Best Picture, man. Like it's all there. Oh fuck, man, this solo shit is hard. I don't know how people do this. What else we got, man? Like Best Actress, Frances McDormand. That was always a fucking lock. She absolutely killed it in Three Billboards, man. She was a fucking powerhouse. It's weird though. Like her being the lead, she didn't really get that much screen time. I mean, like there was a lot of time devoted to Sam Rockwell. Again, another well-deserved Oscar, man. That guy. I've been watching this guy for ages, man. Like when I was a kid, I saw him in probably gonna laugh, but Charlie's Angels. Yes, I had a great upbringing. The Charlie's Angels movie that he was in, he played the villain. Spoilers. Uh, you know what? Fuck you. It's been out for years. He played the villain, and man, this guy, he's just got charisma. He can command the screen. He even played a lesser villain in a lesser Marvel movie in Iron Man 2 as Justin Hammer, and he was still entirely watchable. I highly recommend watching Conviction with fuck, what's her name? God damn it, can't even think of her name now. She was in Freedom Riders. You know what? Don't worry about it. But yeah, you gotta watch him in Conviction. Um, Man, seriously, the Oscars this year was great. I think it was a great year. There weren't any fuck ups last year, like La La Land and Moonlight. Roger fucking Deakins, god damn, man, this guy can make a movie look beautiful. This guy can make shit look beautiful. I mean, like, look at Spectre. I'm just kidding. Spectre's a passable Bond movie, but I mean, it's pretty bland. But it's really beautiful to look at. That being said, the guy photographed Sicario, which I'm going to go on record and say is my favorite movie of all time. That's right, Sicario, directed by Denis Villeneuve, my favorite movie of all time. Um, this guy's just a legend. He's been nominated an insane amount of times, and he's been overlooked an insane amount of times, and I'm so glad he got recognition this time. Gary Oldman. I mean, this is. I haven't personally seen The Darkest Hour, but this might be what I like to call a recognition Oscar. I mean, like this guy consistently puts in 100%, man. Like not 100%, 110%. He puts in a lot of work. Like look at Dracula. I mean, Keanu brings down that movie. British accent. I'm not gonna even. Yeah, that was. I don't know what the fuck that was. But man, Gary Oldman just killed it in that. He was so hammy and like he just brought 110% to it. But not even that, man. Like Fifth Element, like my favorite role of his is Leon the Professional, is Stansfield. That guy is scary as shit, like horrifying. Also, I recommend going to see Coco. Holy shit, man! If you want to cry in a movie theater or cinema, as we like to call it here, Coco, like goddamn, never has a movie made me feel so entirely just broken on the inside. This is a kids movie. It's made by Pixar, so you know they're gonna bring the feels. And this is not bottom tier Pixar. This is top tier Pixar. This is like Toy Story Pixar. This is Wall-E. This is The Incredibles. This is Inside Out. Um, this just absolutely brings a feel. It's about death. It's about family. It's about doing what you want to pursue in the world. Oh, sorry, pursuing what you want to do in the world, and not really letting anything stop you. Like even the fear of being an outcast. It's just a brilliantly well done story, dude. I can't even. Look, so that's, I mean, we can go into shit like best production design, but I mean, like, who really cares? The Shape of Water one, as it, well, actually, I originally chose Blade Runner for that, but you know, apparently Denis Villeneuve's getting the short shift this year. Um, no, he got a few awards, but not him. He didn't even get nominated for Best Director. What a joke. Best Film Editing, Dunkirk. Lee Smith, who edited Dunkirk, Australia, as we like to say here. Fuck. It was a great year. It was a good year. I don't know, man. I think that might close it up. It's just I don't know. It's midnight right now. I guess that's why they call it midnight double feature. No, yeah, I don't fucking know. The more charismatic host isn't here with me talking about this shit, so it's kind of weird. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. We've got a lot more shit coming up, and it'll be a lot better. I promise, it'll be a lot better next time. I mean, I can keep saying that over and over again, but yeah, it'll hopefully be better. Me and Colin are hoping to have more of a conversation next time. That's how we're going to keep doing the podcast, like as a conversation, not just this one-on-one bullshit. But yeah, man. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you next time.